Since the dawn of time there have been tier lists. Who had the best club? What video game console is the best? And most importantly, which Ninjago season is the greatest? There have been literally thousands of tier lists, ranking all the seasons of Ninjago, and to be honest, I'm getting pretty tired of it. So let's change things up, shall we? Instead of ranking the seasons, let's go ahead and rank the years of Ninjago themselves. How will that work, you might ask? Simple. We're just gonna load up the Ninjago wiki, go through everything that happened in 2011 to 2021, and determine where each year should be placed from S tier to D tier. Before we get to the actual rankings, like every other tier list in existence, it's gonna be very opinion based and influenced by my own personal experiences with each year, so don't worry if your favourite year is in an S tier or whatever tier you want it to be. That's why I've put the link to this tier list in the description below so you too can make your own ranking. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to the actual ranking, starting at 2011, which I think we can all agree automatically goes into the S ranking. It's only fair that the year said it all gets to be the top, right? Next up is 2012, where we got the first two seasons of Ninjago, which are absolute classics and just overall the gold standard for Ninjago. So once again, I'll be showing this one into S tier. After 2012 brings 2013, and this time we're actually gonna have to think about where to put this one. Since Ninjago is supposed to end after season 2, barely anything happened this year, with the only notable events being a few comics I have not read and a wave of season 2 sets being released. The sets themselves are pretty good, by 2013 standards of course, because Cole's Earthville did not age well at all. I'm so glad I sold my kidney for this. As I said before, I've not read any of the comics released this year, so they won't be factoring into this ranking. I'm sorry all fans of Stone Cold, but it will not be the same in 2013. Damn, this cover girl's kinda hard though. The last notable thing that happened this year was that the rebooted trailer was released, but I'm not going to be taking trailers into account for these rankings. So, just like the reboot itself, I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist. With all this being considered, I think 2013 should be the first year placed in C tier. 2014 brought us the hit classic Horrible Bosses 2, and also brought us Rebooted. It sure was a season alright, and I would know because I own half of it on DVD. Of course with a new season comes new sets, which were pretty good. I really only got 2 of them though, so I can't dish out major points. I can give this year an extra point for this beauty of a set. Despite being a fan since 2011, this was my first ever Ninjago set, and as to say, you never forget your first. Looking past the rebooted and its sets, the last thing we need to look at is Ninjago Ninjoids, a video game released only for the 3DS and the PS Vita. Yeah, that existed once. All I can say about the game is that it sure looks like a game alright, but it's nice to see Ninjago have some more media representation. I think B tier is a pretty suitable spot for 2014. On to 2015, which is described by the producers as a big year for Ninjago, and oh boy does it show. The 2 seasons received this year are incredible, and the accompanying sets are equally as good. This year also gave us another handheld exclusive game, known as Shadow of Ronin, and I'm sure if I played it I would have seen Ronin Shadow. All I really remember from the game is this. That automatically makes this an S tier year. 2016 might be the first controversial year of the list. I know a lot of people seem to dislike Skybound, but personally it's my favourite season. And not just because it's a J season, I swear. For the first time ever I actually tried to collect all the sets from Wave, and almost did it. Almost. I swear to god I'll own this set someday. The first half of 2016 was pretty good, and things got even better when Ninjago World opened in Legoland California Resort, further expanding the brand's presence in LEGO's empire. 2016 has already been a fantastic year, so what else happened that year? Well, they released an Ninjago movie oh. Well, never mind then. Instead of the movie being released that year, we instead got Day of the Departed, which was decent I suppose. At least the sets are once again fantastic. Now it's time to discuss what I'm pretty sure is the first properly canon book to the series, the Dark Island Trilogy. I actually remember reading quite a few of the 3 books, and what I can remember was pretty good, and it was just great to see Ninjago infect another market. The last thing to talk about is The Master, a short made to promote the upcoming Ninjago movie, and if only the movie is as good as this short. The short itself is beautifully animated and actually pretty funny, unlike the actual movie. This year gets an S for Skybound. Just like 2016, I feel like 2017 is going to be a pretty hot topic. I personally think it was a really great year for the franchise. First up was Hands of Time, which was an alright enough season. Definitely could have been better, but who cares about that when the LEGO Ninjago movie released? Oh wait, it sucked. And I know, I own it on Blu-ray, dear god what has happened to my life. Okay, hatred for the movie aside, I have to admit that it honestly isn't that bad. It's certainly the best looking LEGO movie, and quite a few moments are actually funny. At least this year's set were some of the best, especially in Ninjago City. To accompany the movie, we also finally got our first ever Ninjago console video game. Unlike the other Ninjago games, I actually played this one, and boy let me tell you, it sucked. I even 100% cleared the game to end up just deleting the game from my system, it was that bad. The last thing to know about 2017 is that for some reason an alternate version of Day of the Departed was released. We don't talk about this version. 2017 in my opinion deserves an A tier. Despite everything about the movie, you have to agree that it was amazing that it even happened, and no doubt brought in many new fans. How do you come back from a mediocre movie? By releasing 2 of the greatest seasons of course. Sons of Garbage and Hunted are such wonderful seasons, and the sets for these 2 seasons just help push these 2 installments even higher. Besides the 2 seasons and the sets, the only other thing that happened this year is a 4D film opening at Legoland, known as Master of the 4th Dimension. I actually sat through the short film and it was pretty decent. Doctor Strange Lloyd sure is something to behold. All this comes together for another S-tier year. 2019 is next up to the rank, so let's start off with March to the Oni. And those Oni sure did march. The season itself was decent, but could have been better. The new sub-theme of Legacy is going to give this year some much needed points. So the next thing we'll be talking about is this. Just like everyone else, I don't really like this season. At least with the sub to Wildbrain, the characters became more detailed and the animation looked a lot better. The season was basically just them getting used to the new episode length and animation style. Let's give 2014 a friend and put 2019 in B tier. Now it's time to enter the new decade of 2020, starting the year off with a season dedicated to gamers. Prime Empire was a nice fun season that acted sort of like a breather before the bigger season of the year, Master of the Mountain. The sets very much reflect this. Speaking of Master of the Mountain, let's talk about that now. This season was wonderful, and there's an even greater send-off to Kirby Morrow, who unfortunately passed away that same year. The sets belonging to this season were just as good as the season itself, and all this comes together for another S-tier year. We're finally here at 2021, the final year to rank in the 10th anniversary of Ninjago. It gave us another beautiful Ninjago city set, an entire legacy wave with a golden figure for each ninja and even an old man, and they also gave us a set of wonderfully done animated shorts that even continued the story of the Time Twins. After all the 10-year anniversary mayhem came to the island, a somewhat cobbled together 4-episode long special that was really just made to set up one of the best Ninjago seasons yet. Skybound, nope, I mean Seabound. They really worked overtime picking that name. Season 14 was a fantastic season, with the best animation you've ever seen from the show, and the sets are really good as well. The last major thing that happened this year was the start of a new canon book series called Splinjitzu Brothers, which I have not read, so it might as well not exist. I think it's safe to say that 2021 deserves a spot in S tier. And with that, all of the years have been ranked. And there are a lot of years in S, with the D tier not even being used, which is a good thing I suppose. After doing this, I wonder where this year will place once it's over. So far things are looking amazing, and this might be Ninjago's greatest year yet. Unless Skybound 2 releases next year, then this year instantly gets put into D tier.